Welcome to the Handcrafted podcast, the business of making things. I'm Paul, founder of Philadelphia Table Company and the Handcrafted Network, and I believe great craftsmanship deserves great business strategy. This podcast is for makers who want to build not just great products, but a thriving business. Each episode will dive into the mindset, systems, and skills that turn craft into success. All right, so this is episode 1. As Brene Brown would say, this is my shitty first draft. And also, as the founder of LinkedIn would say, if you're not embarrassed of your first version, then you started too late. So hopefully I look back on this and I go, I started just on time, and this is super embarrassing and a horrible first episode. Anyways, what I wanted to talk about today was luxury strategy. That's a big thing and a big theme for many of the makers that I talk to on a regular basis. So, like I said in the intro, I own the Handcrafted Network, which is a network of makers and business owners where we collaborate and connect and chat and talk about growing their business and making their businesses better. And I'm also the owner of Philadelphia Table Company, like I said, which I've sort of pinned as a luxury business. And here's why. So when I started Philadelphia Table Company, I thought I was going to be a company for the people, like a table company for the people, being able to offer better products to everyone, essentially. But as you get into it and you realize you're making things by hand, you're handcrafting things, you're trying to find all the right materials, you realize how expensive that actually is. And once you start doing that, you realize you have no other choice but to really kind of raise your prices and become a luxury product. And it's weird because I never associated myself as somebody who would purchase luxury goods or cared much about luxury goods. But I think, when you're making something by hand, it's inherently a luxury good. You can't really mass produce that. I mean, you can, but it's not really going to have sort of the same inherent value as if you were kind of making it by hand one at a time. So at Philadelphia Table Company, everything is made by a single maker within my shop. We believe in the one maker approach there. And in doing so, and kind of running the books and figuring out what my profit margin is, and in order to make money, I just realized there was no other choice but to raise my prices. And honestly, when I first did that, I was first starting out. I think my furniture was probably, on average, maybe $3,000, $2,000, something like that. Now our average sales maybe $8,000 to $10,000. And when I first raised the prices, I was actually pretty nervous about it. I was nervous that it would push people away, which it did. I definitely had to accept more no's. But one thing that I didn't expect was that it brought in such a better level of client. It brought in somebody who already appreciates what we're doing. And it brought in people who were looking for value and looking for quality. They were looking for something that they couldn't find at the box store. And a common analogy that I always bring up with people when I talk about this is, kind of two analogies. One is if you're shopping for, say, a dishwasher or a, clothing washer, washing machine, or whatever, and you walk into the appliance store, you're not going to even look at the lowest priced item because you're going to assume that it's the lowest quality. Although the manufacturer of the lowest price item could have just put the highest price on it and made it the highest price item, which you then would have assumed, oh, this is maybe the best of it. So by raising the prices, you're actually inherently raising the perceived value of the product as well. So in raising our prices, we kind of like put ourselves into a different tier of people, of purchasers, of clients that are looking for that sort of higher level thing. One of my previous mentors that I used to talk to, she was like a shopper of luxury goods, and she said, you're actually, by putting things at a lower price, you're actually negating, you're like preventing people that are luxury clients from coming in the door. Because what they're going to do is they're going to see a lower priced item and just assume that that's kind of like where your quality sits. Again, another analogy is, going into a Kia lot versus going into like a Mercedes lot. I was in a Mercedes lot the other day because my van's a Mercedes Sprinter, and you can kind of see the difference there. So it's like the luxury buyer could go into um, go into a Kia lot and get a car that gets them from point A to point B, but they're not looking for that. They're looking for something that's different, so they're going to go to the Mercedes lot. But the people who are shopping for Mercedes are not even going to walk on the Kia lot. So I think that's valuable when you're pricing your items, because sometimes, by pricing things low, you're pigeonholing yourself and you're actually excluding that upper tier client that is willing to pay for it. One thing I also noticed too was clients who are willing to pay more tend to be less of a pain. I noticed when, we were selling things for $3,000, $4,000 or less, um, people would come to us like, hey, I've saved my whole life for this, or, I can finally afford the table that I want or whatever. And, it's $3,000 or something, which is, a good chunk of money. But you deliver the table and they expect it to dance or sing or do something different. When in reality, it's just a piece of furniture that was handmade for them, right? There isn't a crazy difference. So they're not really able to see the value in the same way that maybe like a luxury client would. Um, so once I sort of wrapped my head around the fact that, hey, I have to do this as a luxury. And the other thing that really pushed me into that world too was one of my previous mentors as well was saying, hey, Paul, like you need to wrap your head around the fact that you're an artist. So you need to start selling like an artist. What makes any piece of art valuable? What makes any piece of art value is the fact that it's like perceived as a luxury. It's perceived as something that's like made specifically for them, or it's a one of one or something like that. So I really started thinking about that and started identifying with more of being an artist, identified more with being a maker, identified more with like handcrafting things for people, and really leaned into what the costs of that stuff are. So I'm a big reader. So one of the things that I looked into was like, how do you market this like luxury stuff? So I read a book called The Luxury Strategy. It's a highly recommended read. It's a very dense book, but it's definitely highly recommended. And the main takeaways that I have from that book are luxury pricing and luxury strategy marketing is all about building the brand narrative. It's all about telling the story. So at the end of the day, it's really about tell, don't sell. So for me, whenever I'm talking to a client, I'm not necessarily talking about the price first. What I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, this is a piece made with solid wood. A lot of times we're doing local wood. So this is wood from, various, this area. It's something that's being made by a single maker for me. So I explain, hey, this is something that's being made top to bottom for you by a single person. It's going to be branded and signed. And then I talk about all the value we bring, which is we're going to give you drawings. Our communication is going to be amazing. We're going to do white glove, all of that stuff. So it's all like the tell, don't sell feel. And what that started to do was create a brand around what I was making and what I was doing. And to me, the ultimate client, my absolute favorite client, and we're trying to get more and more of this. I think we're probably up to about 50%, which is great. Are people who come to us and say, hey, I love Philadelphia Table Company. I've been following you for years. I would love to get something made by you. They're not coming in and referencing a specific product. So if you're looking at, say, Porsche, or you're looking at Rolex, these other luxury brands, if you notice, a lot of them aren't selling specific items. Yeah, there might be a specific Rolex in the Rolex ad, but what Rolex is really selling is the Swiss-made watch, the precision, all of that sort of stuff. Same thing with any sort of luxury car. So like, if you get a Porsche, they want to give you like the Porsche keychain, because what they want you to do is be part of the story. And bringing this back to what I was saying, where I was on the Mercedes lot the other day, it's like, if you walk in that store, one of the coolest things that they sell or show is kind of the historical nature of Mercedes. So they have like kind of like old original vintage cars, all of these cool pictures, because what they want you to do is like buy into the story of what makes Mercedes Mercedes. It's a legacy brand. And at the end of the day, like that's sort of what luxury is. And that's what us as makers are doing, is like creating a legacy brand. We're creating pieces of furniture or whatever it is that you're making that's going to be hopefully around forever and things that people value and cherish. So I spent a good deal of time like really investing in building the brand narrative. If you go on our website, if you go on Philadelphia Table Company's Instagram, you'll see there is a video there that I spent some money on to really just tell the story of who we are and what we do. And to me, that's like so important. That's sold itself, I don't even know, 10, 20, 100 times over, I think, because it's people coming in and giving them the reason why they're coming to us and what we're offering. People now, it seems consumer trends are leaning more and more towards like wanting to shop local, wanting to like know where the pieces come from, wanting to know the why, wanting to know who's behind it. So all of that stuff is like really, really helpful. And it's another topic that we'll bring up in another podcast episode, but also buying into like a local narrative of being like the go-to like local place. Like to me, people want to purchase from the community. They want to know who they're buying it from. And that's what more and more trends are going towards. People are really investing in brands over specific products lately. So it's like people are buying Nike because they identify with Nike, not necessarily because they like the Nike specific shoe. People are buying Patagonia because of, what Patagonia represents, what they represent as a company. People are investing in brands. So same thing goes for luxury brands, Mercedes, Rolex. One really cool example of this is, if you look at a really nice bottle of champagne, right? The back label, or if you go to any of these champagne websites, what they do is, this is from the such and such region of France. This has been a family thing for hundreds of years. And they really tell the backstory and the narrative of all that stuff. And, I challenge you as a maker, or if you're a furniture maker, to really figure out what that story is that's a little bit different. I mean, we've all come from a garage. We've all started somewhere and are going somewhere. But I think trying to figure out what it is that you're offering that's a little bit different, what it is that you're doing that's special and unique, and what's really going to make it stick out and be that luxury product. So to me, luxury is everything. And at the end of the day, the way you're going to pigeonhole yourself as luxury product is to start increasing your pricing. There are also a lot of sort of things I've learned from the luxury strategy book. Everything's very counterintuitive. One of the other things they talk about is never running sales. So running sales kind of devalue your brand. And I've noticed, if you're running a sale, sometimes people then use that as a way to open up the conversation to say, hey, well, if you were offering 20%, why can't you offer 25%? Or when are you doing the next sale? And all that stuff sort of devalues what it is, and it makes people question, hey, well, how did you come up with your pricing? So for me, I'm very specific about what it is, and I never actually even decrease the price. So if somebody says, hey, that's out of budget, what can you do for X? Usually what I'll do is not say, oh, I'll just do the same piece for that. What I'll do is come up with some sort of marginal difference to say, hey, to get to that price range, we need to change the wood from this to this, or we need to change this finish from this to this, or these legs, or whatever. So with luxury pricing, you need to be very careful. With luxury strategy, you need to be very careful about what your pricing strategy is. The other tip to that too is your luxury pricing should continually increase. So year over year over year, actually increase the pricing. I met with a client today. I'm actually sitting in my showroom right now, where I told her, she asked me if we ever had sales, and I told her no. I mean, our things are priced the way they're priced. This is what the margin is that we need to get by. And, we can all admit, you need to have a good margin in this business because it's very heavy, cost heavy as far as like materials and labor and all that stuff goes. So my one tip to all of you guys, if you have one takeaway from this episode, is to raise your prices and to start thinking of yourself as a more luxury product and start embracing what a luxury strategy looks like. I wanted this to be the first episode because pretty much everything I'm going to be talking about throughout these episodes is going to relate back to what is a luxury strategy and how is the luxury strategy playing into this. So I urge you to continue to tune in. Hopefully this one wasn't super awful. I look forward to talking or you guys hearing me. I don't really know how that works. I'm just looking forward to talking about the next topic. So I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.